There is this common belief that gender dysphoria is a delusion, yet it's not classified as a delusional disorder. You may think it doesn't make sense. Well, first of all, how would you define a delusion? A delusion is an idiosyncratic belief or impression maintained despite being contradicted by reality or rational argument. It's typically a symptom of a mental disorder, but not always. So, for example, someone who watches the TV and believes that it's directly speaking to them is delusional. Someone who believes that they are born male when they are born female is delusional, etc., etc. Well, sometimes people have beliefs that are not true but that don't count as delusions. It may be the case if they are misinformed or if they lack knowledge. But if people have knowledge about something but choose to disregard that because it doesn't fit their beliefs, it often counts as a delusion. So now you may be wondering, what is the distinction between gender dysphoria and a delusion of being the opposite sex? Well, gender dysphoria doesn't have anything to do with the belief of being the opposite sex. Gender dysphoria is a term that describes a sense of unease that a person may have because of a mismatch between their biological sex and their gender identity. I don't really like this term because it's very vague, but basically gender identity, this term has multiple meanings depending on who you ask. There are some people who say that gender identity is what you identify as, which is very vague and which makes identifying as a gender useless and meaningless. But gender identity has also been defined in a way that is more concrete and that has a meaning and that is not based on a choice. Like originally in the 60s, it was defined as one ounce sense of sex, like the feeling of being more comfortable in a male body or a female body, and some people still use that term that way. So if we use the I identify as something definition of gender identity can be a delusion. But if we use the I am more comfortable with male or female sexual characteristics definition of gender identity, then it cannot count as a delusion because it's not a belief of belonging to a specific sex. It's more just being more comfortable with specific sexual characteristics. Doesn't have anything to do with a belief. Now the thing is, gender identity, even under the identify as a man or a woman definition of it, doesn't necessarily have to be a delusion because man means adult human male, woman means adult human female. And the thing is, female and male can be defined as sexes, but also as genders. Genders as in gender identity, so either the circular logic of I identify as this, so I am this, and I am this because I identify as that, which is circular logic, so we should abandon that in my opinion. Or the concrete thing that is not circular logic, being like I feel more comfortable in a female body or in a male body, so my gender identity is female or male. In the past, in order to be diagnosed with gender dysphoria, many psychiatrists would rule out schizophrenia or delusions in general. If someone had psychosis, they were very unlikely to get a diagnosis of gender dysphoria because many psychiatrists would see believing that one would feel more comfortable in a body of the opposite sex or a body with different sexual characteristics as a delusion. But nowadays, there are some places in which people don't really need to go to therapy to be able to transition medically, but it's still not really the norm. Like, try to transition medically in Denmark, United Kingdom, or the Netherlands. It will take maybe more than 3 years. And for those wondering, but If they identify as women, why do they have to transition into women? Well, if you're not delusional, you identify as a woman because you feel like you would be comfortable in a female body, and that woman means adult human female, and that you want to transition into being adult human female, or adult human male in the case of a trans man. I don't know why people keep asking the question, what is a woman, instead of what is a man? You know, there isn't only one sex, there are two sexes. Men exist. Anyways, this is the end of this video. I hope that it wasn't too confusing, and see you for a video maybe. Bye.